Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Rabbit here, and I got some Black Ops 3 gameplay for you guys by Drifter, as you can see right there. And he's going to be going over basically all of the guns, and Drifter is really good if you guys want to stay updated on Black Ops 3. I know I will be, so instead of watching my channel, or you can keep watching my channel, it really doesn't matter. Go to Drifter's channel to look at all Black Ops 3 info. Anyways, let's get right into the video.
Every single one of them, but I did get good clips with quite a variety of weapons, some of which I'll be showing you in this video, and some of which I'll be saving for later. But I do have a list of all of the available weapons, which is a ton of them, and I wanted to describe them to you. We'll start off with the assault rifles. First up, there's the level 1 first unlock Man-O-War assault rifle. It is a high damage, low rate of fire, low recoil assault rifle that has absolutely terrible iron sights. So you're going to need to run red dot sights on it, and it really doesn't compare very well to any other weapon in any other Call of Duty game that I've played. I would almost say Scar H, but the damage is higher and the rate of fire is lower, so it's a very strange weapon. Some people loved it. I personally didn't like it very well. Again, it didn't feel very good in my hands. The ARK-7 is an AK-ish weapon. Think kind of like a future AK, kind of like an AK-101 or any of the newer ones the Russians are developing, plus some. It's a relatively low recoil weapon, relatively low rate of fire, and moderate damage. Again, this is probably the standard assault rifle. This is the one that most people gravitated toward and did the best with. One of the ones, however, which I think is among the best in the game is the XR2, which you have definitely seen some of here in the video. It is a very good 3-round burst assault rifle. 3-round burst weapons in Call of Duty games have a tendency to be either extremely overpowered or extremely underwhelming. This one, thankfully, is neither. It's a very balanced but powerful and good feeling weapon. This is one of the ones that I did the best with, and one of the ones that most of the other commentators liked, and it actually goes very well with an ACOG sight with a new aim down sight like scaling sensitivity mechanics. It does have a slightly slower rate of fire, but it does have very good damage, low recoil. It kind of feels like the COD 4 M16, but much more so modernized. The next one I'd like to talk about is the Shiva. It's a semi-automatic assault rifle, so that's the one that we're most going to pick compared to a Mark 14 or an FAL or something like that. However, the rate of fire is kind of slow. It's not as spammy as those, but I think the trick with this weapon is that it is deadly with the high caliber attachment. It's kind of meh. It's kind of average. It could be very forgettable without that, but when you put the high caliber attachment on this weapon, you can get one shot kill headshots up to medium range, like a right proper marksman rifle. If you're good and you ding people in the head, you can be very, very godly with this weapon. Very high skill, very high reward. And do keep in mind that the flinch is higher in Black Ops 3 than it has been in previous games because you don't have toughness. So if you're aiming for the head and somebody shoots you and you flinch and you miss, it's going to be miserable. You're going to get wrecked. The last assault rifle is probably the one that I'm going to say is the overall best, the one that I think most of you will find the best, maybe tied with the XR2, and that is the HVK-30. I keep wanting to call it the Havoc, but it's not. It's just HVK-30. It's an average damage and average rate of fire assault rifle. It's probably like 3 to 4 shot kills most of the time, probably about 720 RPM, which is normal for assault rifles, but it's got very low recoil. It's very easy to control, very easy to aim with, got a good reload time, it's got good iron sights. It's a very overall good feeling weapon. This is kind of a weapon you could pick up and rock and roll with in almost any situation. It's a very rough and tumble assault rifle and is definitely going to be the best for most players. I think a few other people might gravitate toward the Shiva for one shots or the XR2 for the burst power, but most players are going to go with the HVK-30, and I got most of my best gameplay with this particular weapon. Moving on to the submachine gun category, there were 4 of them available today. 2 I'd previously played and 2 new ones. The first one is the Vesper. I mostly liken the Vesper to the Scorpion. It is an extremely high rate of fire and extremely high recoil submachine gun with a fairly big mag. It's got a default magazine size of 40. The range on it actually isn't too bad. It doesn't drop off to miserable range as much as you would think, kind of like the old Scorpion, but it kicks way, way, way worse. Miserable recoil, very difficult to control. There is a complete opposite of this weapon. There is a very high damage, very low recoil submachine gun, but it shoots considerably slower and it has a very low magazine size of 20. That's called the VMP. I have a feeling that the VMP is kind of like a remake of the MSMC. However, they cut the magazine size a little bit to make it more fair, and it does seem to shoot just a little bit slower. Again, it's a very good submachine gun in its own right. It's the exact opposite: high damage, low rate of fire versus high rate of fire, low damage. The Weevil, which is a new one, you've probably seen this in the trailer, and you'll see it in some of the gameplay that I've got. It's essentially a future P90. It's actually got low recoil and a very big magazine, so you would think that would make it a good submachine gun, but the range is terrible. It has absolutely terrible, terrible, terrible range. I can't stress that enough. It just does no damage at long range, so it's a close range only weapon. That's kind of the catch with that one. And lastly, we have one called the Kuda. Now, this one I in particular did not like. It was a very unusual looking. Most of the weapons in this game are very futuristic. The Kuda looked very old school. It was kind of like a UMP MP5 hybrid, sort of. It definitely had those old school MP5 iron sights, and I personally did not like it. I found its performance very poor. It didn't float my boat, and I wouldn't recommend any of you using it. In the light machine gun category, we have the Dingo, which is a very high rate of fire light machine gun, but it's very heavy and kind of clunky, and I didn't gravitate towards it very much at all. The Dingo was definitely not my thing. I don't think Black Ops 3 is going to be a very heavy SMG game. We had two sniper rifles today. We had the Locust, which I would say is a lot like the DSR pre-patch, maybe a little bit better than the pre-patch DSR. I'm not going to say it's as good as the Ballista, but it's the big bad boy sniper rifle. It's a bolt action. It's a one-shot kill all over the place, even maybe upper legs and thighs, that sort of stuff. But it does shoot kind of slow. It aims down sights kind of slow. Yes, there's quick scoping in the game, just for those of you that want to know. But they also removed auto aim from sniper rifles, so it's somewhat more difficult to do. More interesting, there's one called the Drakon, the Drakon, Drakon. It's a very good semi-automatic sniper rifle, and it doesn't compare well to any previous ones because I think it outperforms every single semi-auto sniper in any Call of Duty game ever. The semi-auto snipers have always kind of had a weakness where they wouldn't get enough one-shot kills in the body, or they would shoot too fast and have too high a recoil. The Drakon is a really good balance between these two, and it actually feels more like a proper marksman rifle than a sniper rifle. In the shotgun category, we have the KRM 262. It is a pump action shotgun. It's actually got kind of beastly range. This one isn't buffed since the last time I played it, but the pump mechanic is slower than I would like for it to be, and I find that it puts me in a bad situation most of the time, and I didn't like it. The Haymaker 12 is a semi-automatic bullet hose. I also didn't like this one just because it's kind of the opposite. Like, yeah, it dumps out bullets like crazy, but the range is kind of bad. I guess I could use it, but it's very difficult to do against YouTubers and stuff. In the pistol category, we have the MR6. That is a high damage, low rate of fire pistol. Lots of 2 shots and 3 shots on this one. You get 2 up close, 3 at medium-ish kind of ranges where you should be using a pistol anyway. But it's kind of got a low rate of fire, can oversample, kicks a bit. There's another one called the RK5, which is essentially the 5.7 by a different name. Very, low recoil, high rate of fire, but is a pea shooter and the best pistol in the game.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say, essentially, the Tempest that you guys see him holding right there, that reminds me of any of you guys play Halo, that reminds me of the Spartan Laser, how you kind of have to charge it up, and it's basically a one-hit kill really anywhere you hit them. So yeah, any of you Halo fans, that's a gun you guys can relate to.
And the best pistol in the game, in my opinion, is the LCAR 9. It is a 3-round burst pistol, and it is very good. I would say that it's similar to a B-23R, but it just doesn't quite feel like the B-23R. It feels a little bit different. I don't know how to say that. I don't want to do a direct comparison because I don't think that's very fair to this particular pistol. And those are the weapons of Black Ops 3. I hope you learned something useful, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. We're out.